Hey guys, welcome back to the Digital Titans Daily episode number 12, and this is going to be a series of 3 episodes. Episodes number 12, 13 and 14 launched that will be uploaded together. Now, first of all, let me apologize for taking a lot of time to get back to you with episodes. And the second thing that I wanted to talk about is this plan that you could have to come up with updates is not to have a plan. Because when you have a plan, you kind of stick to the same small update that you have and you try to beat around the bush. But if you do not have a plan, what happens is it helps you push and get as many updates as possible because you don't have a plan. You can just go on about exploring these updates. Now, that's one way that I do my update sessions. And on that note, let's get started with the episode number 12. A very, very disheartening news that has been making rounds in social media, and one of the most talked about topics is the Instagram founders quitting Facebook. Now, it is not a pleasant news, and it raises a lot of questions about what happened between them and the Facebook CEO, and what was there a difference in opinion. Was the creative thought process of Instagram was being challenged by the revenue model of Facebook? Is Facebook trying to milk Instagram and push Instagram to generate as much of revenue as possible? Now, all these things are speculated, and it could be believed that they're true to a certain extent. And something related to this would have been the reason for them to part ways. Nevertheless, it's a sad moment and I mean, all of us know the creative aspects that Instagram had got to our lives. Now, the only thing that you have to wait and watch is, would Facebook take the creative element out of Instagram and start looking at this as a revenue platform, like what happened with Facebook? Now, the second update that I have about Instagram is Instagram now allows you to reshare your stories. Now, let's say I make a story on my phone, on my Instagram, and I've mentioned you in my story, and you would automatically receive an alert saying that you have been mentioned, and you could repost that onto your story, which means stories could be reposted for 24 hours. That doesn't change. And I could look at how many times my story was reshared. Now, this is like a retweet option, kind of like a retweet option, and it is called as a resharing for stories. The third update that I have about Instagram is, going forward, you can make your posts as stories without having to go through the hassle of taking a screen capture, editing it, and things like that. Now, if you make a post on Instagram, there is a small paper plane icon next to your post. So you click on that, and you will see an option which says, make this my story or add this to my story. So you can click on that option. You navigate to the stories screen where you can beautify, modify, do whatever you want to this story that you are about to post, and then you can post it as a story. So now posts can become your stories very, very easily on Instagram. Moving forward, we have a lot of things. Trust me when I say a lot of things, I mean a lot of things to talk about Google in this episode. Now, Google has been releasing things and updating and releasing their updates left, right, and center to their search. Now, the very aspect of search that we knew, where Google was trying to help you with searches and trying to send you off Google to various websites by giving you what you needed, is going to change, and they're trying to be more visual. They're trying to give you more context and content, and they're trying to come up with a lot of other things. So let's start looking at these things one by one. Google Feed, which was released about a year ago, is becoming Google Discover now, which means that Google is finding more ways to make you stay on their website for a long time. Now, let us say you go to google.com and you start searching for something. Now, Google Discover will let you discover pieces of content that you may be interested in. Now, this could be something that you have already searched in the past. Now, you don't have to, based upon your preferences, Google is trying to show more content to you. Now, this Google Discover is really going to be a big thing. The second thing that you will look at is Google is getting more visual, which means they use something called as activity cards, which means you can pick up your searches from where you left off. Now, depending upon, let's say you've searched for something in the past, now you go to your Google, I'm talking about Google app on the mobile phones. Now, when you start looking at that, you don't have to research those queries or search for those queries again. You can start picking up your process from where you left. So Google would show you a history of things that you searched, and you can start picking up things from there. Now, that's very interesting if you ask me. Now, Google is making a big push to its platform, which is in terms of stories. Now, Google is experimenting with stories like Snapchat and Instagram in a similar format onto Google Search. Now, how does this work? Now, let's say you have downloaded the app called Google Search on your phones. Now, you go to Google Phones and let's say you search for something called as CNN. Now, you will see something called as featured stories, which would show you a list of story like what do you say, screen on Google search, which is exactly similar to what it would look like on Instagram or a Snapchat. For a second, you would be taken aback, say, assuming that this was Instagram or Snapchat. The similarities is so much. Now, you would have to understand that Instagram and Snapchat lets you create the stories by yourselves, while Google does not let you create stories, and it automatically create these stories based upon something called as AMP stories, which is accelerated mobile pages stories. Now, there are a lot of templates, there are a lot of places where you can go and appeal for these things, but as of now, they're only available to popular news channels, notable figures, celebrities, and things like that. But eventually, they're planning to roll it out for everybody. I tried doing this on my mobile app, and it looks amazing. It doesn't look like Google anymore at all. Now, Google, as we know, you just go to Google, put in a search query, get the information, and then you get out from the website. But now there's so much to look at. It shows you your preferences. You can say, I want to look more of these. I don't want to look anything like these. So you can select those options. Now it gives you stories like formats. It gives you featured videos. It just doesn't let you leave that page. There is so much of information that you can consume. Now this is what I mean when I say Google is going more visual. The next update that I have is something called as Google Lens, which is not at all new. It was old. It has been there for a long time. Now Google Lens, the update or the new thing here that you need to observe is Google Lens is coming to Google Images. Now let's say you go to a restaurant. You go to a restaurant and you order let's say sushi, and you're trying to eat sushi, and then you really like these chopsticks. They don't look like anything that you have seen before. Now you really get fascinated by these, and you can't obviously call the waiter and ask them, where do you buy these, or where could you buy these? Now what you can do is you can just take a picture of this on Google Images, and Google Lens technology will tell you where would you find these kind of chopsticks, and it'll start giving you suggestions, and it'll start linking you to those websites where you could buy this product. Now that's amazing. So Google partners with Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi partnership, which all these three companies together got into a partnership. Now Google is trying to get into a partnership with these to try and get Android into their cars. Now, if you could be talking about Google Voice, you could be talking about Google, what do you say? What is it called as Google Home. Now, Google is trying to get Android onto these cars, and thereby trying to capture this market. And it is still in talks. Nothing is finalized yet, but it is on the way, and it might happen anytime soon. Roku is going to be the new voice of Google. Now, Roku is one of the is the number one streaming player that you have, that you can possibly think about, and Google is going to be working with Roku to do the collaboration. Or Google is you will have the functionality to say, okay Google, switch off the TV, or okay Google, switch on the TV. Now this is how the exact collaboration of Google and Roku is working out. Though there are no exact timelines of when these things are expected to come and what exactly is going to roll out, but Roku is a new Google Voice, Google Assistant, and Roku are working together to come up with something which is very interesting. Google announces audio streaming and consistent uploads, and coming up with setting up quality for playing these videos on YouTube Music. Now you will have things like have low quality, medium quality, high quality, and play these videos or music or the streaming at high quality, always depending upon the user's preferences and your data requirements that you have. Now Google is coming up with these things, plus a consistent upload of uploads to YouTube Music. Google Data Studio, which is the data interpretation platform that Google has launched about a year and a half ago, is finally out of beta. Now you can integrate this Google Data Studio with all the available platforms on Google, or the elements of Google, like Google Analytics, Google 360, Google Ads 360, all of these platforms. Now, along with it, you also have a functionality to link Google data and start interpreting your data from other platforms. let's say Instagram ads, Instagram stories, Facebook ads, Bing ads, Amazon ads, Amazon paid ads. Now you can integrate and or analyze the reports when it comes to data from all these platforms. Now the so Google Data Studio is finally out of beta. Google Maps is consistently making modifications to its platform. Now it is going to be called as Google Transit and Food. And a recent study shows that Google has been making certain modifications to, for example, let's talk about India. Now they're trying to make Google Maps very specific to what would happen in India and people's lifestyle and people's habits and people's search habits, and they're trying to customize Google Maps according to that. Now, maybe Google Maps becoming what is that? Google Transit and Food is a process of that. Right. So let's start. I have two small pieces. I just have two small pieces of update when I talk about LinkedIn and Pinterest. Let's get off with them. LinkedIn is coming up with something called as Talent Insights, which is going to be their first foray into analysis and data intelligence and business intelligence when you talk about analyzing what is happening when it comes to job placements and when it comes to how resources are being used. All these things put together, LinkedIn is very aggressively working towards launching Talent Insights. Now, Pinterest is letting people and businesses get the most out of this platform by introducing certain features where they could work with where influencers from different networks, and you can start collaborating with these guys and start executing these marketing campaigns out of Pinterest very soon.